Thank you for watching Let's Get Political. I'm, of course, your host, Alicia Reese. Today we have Senator Geraldine Thompson with us. Thank you for taking the time to answer my
Glad
questions.
to be here.
Question 1, who is your best friend at the Capitol?
I have to say, probably Senator Tracy Davis, because we have very similar backgrounds. We were both educators, and we're both members of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Who is your best friend from across the aisle?
That's a tough one. Well, on the Senate side, I've made some friends. I think I have a good working relationship with the Senate President Kathleen Passidomo, and I work well with Senator Clay Yarborough.
What do you do when you aren't in Tallahassee, and also when you are in Tallahassee but not at the Capitol?
I am the founder of the Wells-Built Museum of African American History and Culture, and I devote a lot of my time to the Wells-Built when I'm not in the Capitol. And in fact, when I am in the Capitol, I bring artwork from the Wells-Built, Black art, so that people understand what they would see if they were to visit. So it gets a lot of my time and attention. I founded that facility in 2001. So I've been working on it now for 23 years, and even before then, doing a lot of research so that we would have the information to share with the community through the museum.
What's your favorite bill that you put forth last year?
The Tyree Sampson Act was my priority bill last session, and it was aimed at making sure that amusement rides in Florida are safe. And I was prompted to offer that bill after a 14-year-old fell 400 feet out of the air from a ride in my district on iDrive in Orlando. So the Tyree Sampson Act, and it resulted in 18 full-time positions of people who will now do inspections of amusement rides to make sure that they're safe, to make sure that operators are trained, because the two young people, 17, 18-year-olds, who allowed this child, 14, to get on the ride, even though he was over 6 feet tall, over 300 pounds, they'd only been on the job for 3 days. I want to make sure people have more training.
What's a bill that someone else put forth that you didn't realize you were passionate about until you read it?
Most bills that deal with social justice, that deal with voting, are things that I am passionate about and things that I will support. And so last session, we had a bill that was sponsored in the House that would require a clearinghouse, a database of information, so that people who have felony convictions or who have been incarcerated would know whether they are entitled to vote. Because we had people who were sent voter registration cards in the mail and thought that they were eligible to vote, and then 20 of them were arrested and featured on the news with this new elections integrity police that operates out of the Department of State. And so I enthusiastically supported that. It did not pass, but I worked with the sponsor this session to ask for a study by OPAGA in terms of how to make that happen.
Do you live in your district?
Yes, indeed. I live in my district, District 15, which is West Orange County in Orlando.
You're running for re-election.
I am.
If you win, how do you realistically see Florida in the next 2 years?
Well, we're working on getting more balance. Right now, with a supermajority, there is a lack of balance. And the voices of people who don't agree with a lot of the policies that are now coming out of Tallahassee, those voices are not being heard. And so in the House, we are, I think, about 4 positions. If we get 4 seats, we can break the supermajority. And we're about 3 seats away here in the Florida Senate. And so working to make sure that we get greater balance is what I see happening over the next 4 to 5 years.
Sum up your campaign in one word.
Service.
What's something about the Capitol that a lot of people don't know, a secret spot or a little known fact?
Hmm. Well, on the ninth floor, I believe it is, there is kind of a computer lab, if you will, that people can use. I guess if they don't have their own computers, most of us have state issued laptops, but people can go there. And I used it quite a bit in terms of the archives from the Department of State to collect information. Remember, I talked about research and documentation, and I was able to do that. And I'm not sure that people know that it's there, because many times when I went, I was the only person, other than the people who were operating, I was the only person there.
What's a misconception people have about your job?
I think a lot of people look at the visibility of the job, and the misconception is this is a lot of work. And I don't think that people actually know that. For example, if I am voting on a bill, I make sure that I've read the bill. And so let's say that there are 10 bills that I'm going to hear on a given day. I read the 10 bills the night before or the day before. So that's a lot of work. People think that it's about the receptions and that kind of thing. And so the misconception is if you do it right, you're going to have to work hard.
If you weren't a senator, what would you do?
I'd be working at the museum. I'd be there full time and sharing the information with members of the community, making sure that we had staff that could take the story out to schools and to community centers, etc. So if I were not in the Senate, that's what I'd be doing.
What's a fun fact about your job that people don't know?
A fun fact. I don't think people know all of the service. And let's say that I never get a bill passed, but I plan to. But I can serve the community, and it's the constituent services that is the crux of the job. That's why you're elected, and that's why you serve a particular district. So my priority is constituent services for the people who live in Senate District 15.
What does your perfect day include?
My perfect day includes a good book, no alarm clock, and just the pleasure of having leisure to read the book.
Thank you for taking the time to answer these questions.
Okay.